Welcome back to another NCAP movie review. Today we have Hunger Games, Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. A movie that was heavily criticised and caught us off guard, but it was really good, and we're going to jump into this review and tell you why we thought so.
The basis of this movie is it's a prequel based around the life of Cornelius Snow, who in the original trilogy or quad...
Cornetto,
Snow. Okay. The plot of this film is a prequel to the original Hunger Games trilogy or four films, and it's based around Coriolanus Snow, who in the original trilogy or four films is actually the president of the Hunger Games and of the districts, and it's based around his rise from... In the start of the movie that we see, he's a lowly citizen who was once powerful. I think his dad used to be the president or was some sort of high-ranking general, and then his rise throughout the movie to becoming into power and the man that we see in the original trilogy of the Hunger Games. Now, he's about 18 or 19 in this film, and he's at college, and I think he's about to graduate, and this is like his next test to graduate. And what happens is he and his fellow classmates become mentors for the tributes of the 10th Hunger Games, even though for some reason in the film it's referenced as the first Hunger Games. I'm not sure if that was a continuity error or whatnot, but we're not too sure.
It must be a real-life Mandela effect happening.
Yeah, or it could be a Mandela effect. I'm not too sure. And he is mentoring the tribute from District 12, who is Rachel Zegler's character, Lucy Gray. There's our first callback to the original trilogy, District 12. That was the same district that Jennifer Lawrence's character, Katniss Everdeen, was in. And the movie has about 3 different acts in it, and it literally falls into acts. Like it comes up with like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. The first act is Coriolanus' rise to power. The second act is him falling in love, or the love forming between him and Rachel Zegler's character Lucy Gray. And then the third act is his fall and then rise once again. And the pacing of this film is a bit jumpy. It's very jumpy, actually. Very jumpy. It goes for 2.5 hours, which is quite long, but it somehow works. We have no idea how it works so well, but it does. The pacing of this movie is all over the shop, but you are locked in for the whole film, and it's quite amazing. Like, a lot of the critiques that I heard going in was that it was too long, that the final act probably wasn't needed, and that the pacing was off, and it was all of the above correct, but I still loved it. And I'm still here for it. And I'm glad they did it because it just worked. Somehow. And I think it's a testimony to Zegler and Tom Blythe, their chemistry, which was just off the charts from the first scene that they're together with in this movie.
Yeah, you hear lately I've been hearing a lot about Rachel Zegler, and all in the negative. Yep. And I've gone into this film expecting a horrible actress, expecting she can't do anything. Now, I may say her accent was a little bit off, but you get used to it.
Yeah, you get used to that accent.
You do, for sure.
It grows on you.
For sure. So then once you sort of get into the movie, I was like so taken back by how good her acting was of Lucy Gray. I think that the love interest and the connection that her and Tom had throughout this, or Coriolanus had throughout this, which actually drew me into actually caring about the characters. Because other than that, I don't, like, why would we have any relationship towards them? Now, personally, I didn't have any relationship towards Katniss Everdeen or that love interest, because that was like known as fake. But this one did a very good job at keeping both of those guys together, and like also having that backstab kind of cross vibe that she was going to always throw him under the bus at some point.
A sheep in wolf's clothing, almost, like her. Because she's in the movie, she's the lowly person,
she's the tribute.
She's the peasant in this film, and he's the elite guy. He lives in the district. He lives in the parts of the world
capital
in the capital where it's fancy and everything like that. And she lives in the quote unquote lowly District 12, which the districts are ranked from 1 to I think 13, and 1 being the best district that you can be in if you're a commoner, and 12 and 13 being the worst one. So she's technically in the worst district,
the lowest bracket possible.
Yeah, and she's not actually from that district. She's part of a they call it a covey, so she's like a rolling band, and that's where like the singing part of this whole film comes from. Now, me and Josh going into this film were very nervous that this was going to be much like the Marvels. If you've seen the Marvels recently, that scene where they sing for the whole thing and it's just completely cringe, completely annoying. But Zegler is hitting them notes.
Yeah, she can seriously sing, regardless if it's pre-recorded or not. She hit that. Right, and I think going back into what Geordie was saying about Coriolanus, yes, he's from the elite capital, but also he is a sheep in wolf's clothing himself by having faked his wealth because of his father being on top, and then now he is dropped, so he's kind of just getting by, and he's faking his wealth in front of these people, and he's basically a commoner himself, which is why I think he connects with Lucy so well. So they played on that love interest amazingly. A couple of things that I noticed throughout this was how conniving Snow was. Like, you can definitely see how he's highly intelligent, and you notice that by the way he sort of double crosses people, the way he allows himself to be manipulated to a point, but then he will take back the reins to put it in his favor. But after all this movie, you get to the last half an hour and it's just all thrown at you. Like, you don't really know what's going to happen going on, and you're kind of taken back by it. But I think that's for what Geordie was saying. Somehow it still worked, and I really did like it. Regardless of the singing and stuff, I'm not a big fan, and Geordie, I know Geordie and I are not. Everything kept you looking at the screen, to the acting, to the storytelling, to the love interest, to the character developments. All of it was amazing.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think the Hunger Games does really well. This whole trope of putting common people into an arena or into like a life and death situation, and then them having to fight their way out, and you know that only one can win, because that's the whole idea of the Hunger Games, only one can survive. That plays on you as someone who's watching it in your emotion, going, oh, you know, it makes it easy for the character development to not have to be there, but for you to still take an invested interest in the character, because you're like, I like this certain character, I hope they survive, or this character. But like, for instance, like Wovey, who's a character who you will see when you see this film, like, I would literally die for this character, and I would move hell or high water to make sure that she survived. If I was one of the tributes in this Hunger Games, Wovey would have survived, and I would have been the last man standing and died defending her, because every time, you'll see when you see this film why she's the cutest character of all time. And every time, for me, when she came on the screen, I nearly like had to jump out of the seat and jump in the screen, because if anything bad happened to her, no, it's not happened.
Yeah, that'd be the downfall of the Hunger Games quadrilogy.
Not on my watch, if anything bad happened to her. So that's where these sort of films really, I guess, work. I don't know why it works. Maybe it's because we think that as we look at these films and we go, oh, there's no way this could ever happen in real life. How barbaric is that? How crazy is that? Even though throughout civilization, there's been multiple times where there's literally been like Hunger Games, and there probably will be again.
Yeah.
We're not very far away from it at this point. And
This movie does that a lot. I noticed that it has a lot of undertones for like real life scenarios put into this film. There's a massive distinction between up and below, like upper class and lower class. And as if you see yourself surviving for that, it's just insane that you need to like attain to that level. You're just like, well, they're all people, but obviously each person has a better. And on top of that, if one of the elites is put in one of these situations, how quickly their life can change and then become or act like a commoner people that they look down upon. So this movie kind of does play into a lot of different aspects of like reality to compare to this movie.
And that's there's a specific scene that Josh is referring to there, which you'll see in the movie, which once again, props to the people who wrote this movie, and also to Tom Blythe as well, for the depth that he was able to go to show the different levels of Coriolanus Snow's personality and who he is and his motivations. And that's just another, I guess, another nod to him in this movie. He really acted his ass off in this movie. And in the third act, he goes full Slim Shady.
Yeah, please
and if they ever do a biopic Eminem film, he better be Marshall Mathers.
Yeah.
Slim Shady.
He was actually looked really good, didn't he? Also, another thing I noticed throughout this film was the colorless scheme that it had from this post-apocalyptic kind of vibe it was going for. It actually looked like dystopian vibe. It looked like Soviet Russia. It looked like a communist dead country. Colorless, grey. But the only thing that you kind of saw, which, I mean, tailing back to what when Geordie and I first started doing reviews, a lot of Illuminati symbolism. What's going on here? They weren't even hiding it at this point. It was like a lot of, the red with the elites and then everything else was colorless. It was, I don't know what kind of undertone that was giving or foreshadowing that was doing, but it seems to be coming back in the film. It's like, I don't know if you just noticed this or it just randomly chuck it in or...
Yeah, it's hard for the Hunger Games though, because I feel like it's an easy way for them to show, all right, now we're in the dystopian sort of capital area where it's elite. It's probably an easy way for them to just go, all right, we're at the elite place.
Yeah, this is then distinguished. This is it. Yeah,
and then when you go to District 12, it's like a coal mine. It's like a fucking it's like a coal mine that's, there's fumes and smoke billowing everywhere. There's people with dirt all over them. So I think it's just an easy way to distinguish.
Yeah, fair.
We're in the shit part of the world. We're in the easy part of the good part of the world. That's how they do it in most of these films. Now, whether it's actually referring to that symbolism, probably. It's Hollywood.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, true.
But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's just an easy way for them to get that dystopian vibe going.
Yeah, fair enough.
One thing that I like to look at when I look at these sort of films that keeps me and puts me into that mindset and into the world that we're in right now on the film that we're watching is the costumes, is the set designs and things like that. And this film did really well at creating that dystopian looking environment by having the guards in these sort of Empire Strikes Back vibe guard suits where they got the all-white suit with the white helmet. They're called peacekeepers in this, which, I mean, that's like the most common name you hear for these dictatorship freaking evil armies that supposedly keep the peace in these movies and all that sort of stuff. I think that did a really good job of that. I think the dystopian vibe between, like Josh said, very bland colours of the buildings really set the environment to say that, because this film's set 10 years, I think, after the Great War that begins the whole Hunger Games and the districts and stuff like that, and you feel like that's the vibe. So I always want to commend a movie or a director for being able to hit that point.
Yeah, set it all up.
Rather than it looking like they've just, you know, they're in Los Angeles with a few burnt buildings down or whatnot. It's actually the whole environment has changed.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall, I reckon I'd rate this movie a solid 85%. It gets everything in my book. It's ticked. It's almost, honestly, it's almost up there with me, like, and how much I enjoyed Oppenheimer. Not that they're comparable, but I just think that the way I enjoy both movies, to me, was 85% worth. And the acting was good. Like, I'm just going to refer everything that we've said. The acting was good. The love interest was good. Yes, the pacing was off, but made sense and kept me entertained, especially action scenes, especially thinking what's going to happen to these characters. Please don't die, like as Jordy was saying, especially with Wovey. Please don't. And yeah, I just thought 85% is definitely what it's worth. It's not like what these other people are saying, these fans that are out here saying it's less or it's shit or whatever. I didn't think that.
I'd have to agree there. I'd also go with an 85%. I think, like all those points Josh said, it hit on. The pacing is jumpy, but it works. If you get on board with this film, you'll love it. And it is a perfect film that keeps you interested the whole time. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. There's plenty to be invested in. There's characters that you want to see survive. There's characters that you want to see get bloody a trident through their chest. It has plenty of markers and references to the original trilogy with Jennifer Lawrence. It has plenty of references to the real world stuff that's happening or could happen.
It has references to the main man, Slim Shady. Please stand up.
Yeah,
he
literally.
goated. Anyway, guys, it's been another Uncut movie review. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, sub, and comment. We all want to hear what's going on, what you thought about it, what you thought about the review, what you thought about the movie.
Let us know if you agreed and you're one of those people that are shitting on this movie and if it wasn't up to your standard, or let us know if it surprised you like it did us.
Yeah, please. We want to know. So don't forget, sub up, baby. Sub up. 200. That's what we're coming for, right? 200. All right, anyway, guys, this has been another Uncut movie review. Peace, we out.
Peace.
And cut. I need a fucking clapperboard for real life.